and 3, so winner stays in, loser is out. In these elimination rounds, Band Spirits on the left.
You always want to win the die roll against Burn, and particularly when you're playing one of the decks that is bad against Searing Blaze. And Cat has basic island to start things off. You'd rather have a mana creature, but this is set up. Pressure's a little bit off when you're on the play against Burn. You don't really have to have the turn 1 creature, as your Rattle Chains, your Selfless Spirits can come online in a meaningful way even on the second turn. For Mendoza, basic Mountain, Suspender, Rift Bolt. That makes it so having Rattle Chains would be a little bit better than Selfless Spirits. And you see Botanical Sanctum, the second land, very much representing a potential Rattle Chains. Rift Bolt, of course, goes upstairs.
Yeah, Cat to 17. She hasn't taken any damage off her own lands, which that's certainly a win.
Yeah. And it's one thing that Spirits does pretty well. There's a number of fast lands in the deck. They only play a few fetches and a few duels.
Right, so that part going well, but she doesn't have a threat yet. You always want to put a clock on Burn. Robert, turn 2 here, has Bloodstained Mire. Maybe looking for an Eidolon of the Great Revel, as we see a Sacred Foundry. There's no counter spells actually in the main, Ryan, right, for the Bant Spirits deck?
Outside of Spell Queller and using Rattle Chains to block for other spirits. I suppose Mausoleum Wanderer is another one, but yeah.
And here is Eidolon of the Great Revel for Robert. Cat would like to put in Rattle Chains before the Eidolon hits the table to avoid that damage. 2-1. Flying Flash. When it enters the battlefield, another spirit gains hexproof. That part doesn't really matter. It gives her other spirits flash. That can be pretty neat.
Yes. Also just gets to fly over the Eidolon. Now, if Cat can assemble a crew of some spirits, get a lot of power in the battlefield, you can race in spots like this. The concern is that Searing Blaze is very good. Lightning Helix, also very good.
Camera naming spirits. Her spirit's now uncounterable and having flash. Now, this isn't a matchup where that's too relevant.
Yeah. Fixes the mana. She was off of white.
Be interesting here with everything having flash, and Robert is in a bit of a bind as to whether he wants to attack, cast spells. He's going to start with Monastery Swift Spear. He'll take his own damage. He's actually behind in the race, and that's not irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, walking the Eidolon and just, for example, a Spell Queller can be a problem.
All right, well, he's going to make a swing with both, and it looks like Cat's just taking the damage. She goes to 14. But 14 and 13, you see this with Burn. Eidolon can be a bit risky.
Mm-hmm.
Suspending Rift Bolt does Robert. I like that a lot. It's mana efficient. It also doesn't cost him too much life. He has a Lightning Bolt, a Grim Lavamancer, and 1 burn spell left. I'm interested to see whether he'll actually make the Grim Lavamancer here.
It's really good in the matchup. You want to get it in online, but you're right. He's committing a lot of spells into his own Eidolon. You don't know how much power there's going to be on the other side of the battlefield next turn.
So with Lavamancer, he takes 2 damage of himself to cast it, and I'm just not sure it'll deal more than 2 damage to Cat.
Right. A huge issue would be if a Geist of St. Traff showed up here.
Sure, that'd be real scary.
Actually, those...
Are those not here? They're in the board?
Looks like Drawskull Captain is the biggest hit here.
Okay. And he says go. Robert went down to 10 to cast that Grim Lavamancer. Now, Cat actually had Spell Queller the entire time. She is... I don't think she's decided to Spell Quell anything. She's going for Drogskull Captain instead, just more damage.
Yeah, I believe that one of the spells in hand is a Phantasmal Image. So having the opportunity to set up Drawskull Captain plus Phantasmal Image means that suddenly your spirits are both very large and all have hexproof.
And that's what she'll do. Phantasmal Image puts herself down to 10. Rattle Chain's pumped up to a 4, Captain up to a 3. It's not lethal, but it's very close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not even lethal through 1 Eidolon trigger. So
yeah,
you make your attack, this Rift Bolt, yeah, exactly, Robert would stick around at 1. That would put Cat to 7. Then you have 3 creatures.
It's close.
The attack with Rattle Chains is, I think you're pretty sold on that one.
Yeah.
There's some math behind the attack with the Captain.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. It's very close in the race here. That Eidolon has done more damage to Robert than it has to Cat. She'll swing for 4, dropping Robert to 6. Leaves back both Drogskull Captains.
And they're just such good blockers. They get in front of 2/2 creatures easily, and the Lavamancer can't even finish them off as the FX proof.
So Robert, he just has to win this turn. He won't survive the next attack. Riftbolt puts himself to 4, Cat to 7. There's nothing he can target with it other than going upstairs.
Right.
I don't see how he's going to get the rest of this damage through, Ryan. Cat's done a good job of leaving back a sturdy amount of blockers here.
Right. You can't cast enough spells to make your Monastery Swift Spear have a good attack. I suppose Lightning Helix would be a difference maker there, as you can resolve your trigger and then gain 3 life.
He's short 1 life point. So he can put Cat to 7, and he has 7 more points of burn in his hand into 2 spells, but that's not enough. He's going to be 1 short that way because he can't cast it. He's at 4.
Right.
He can attack, and with Cat having 2 blockers, he could put her to 1. He could cast Borrow's Charm and then use the Grim Lavamancer.
Right. And a big issue for him is that his creatures can't block.
Right.
He would love to be able to trade away or just chump away the Eidolon so he could cast more spells.
He's at 4. Swings both, puts Cat to 7. He can swing both creatures. Swift Spear's a 2/3. If Cat blocks the Swift Spear, she'll lose one of the captains, but that's fine. Robert's down to 2 if that happens. Rattle Chains doesn't need to be pumped anymore.
Right.
Swings both. Oh, wait.
The Swift Spear can't get big enough. 2 spells kills Robert.
Ryan, the Eidolon dies, though.
You can just not block that creature, go to 5, but then you're dead to 1
But then you're dead to Borrow's Charm plus Lavamancer.
So you probably have to just block both here.
But when you block both, Robert has 7 points of burn.
That's a problem.
So it's by attacking the Eidolon, I think he's actually freed up the lethal point of burn here.
Is it Lightning Bolt or Lava Spike? What's the second card?
It's Bolt Borrow's Charm.
Okay. Yeah.
So he can't, right now on board, he can't actually get enough damage through, but once the Eidolon, either the Eidolon connects and he only needs 1 burn spell, or it dies and he casts both. He's found a line.
Yeah, that is lethal.
Okay, it was determined that Robert actually forgot to draw for his turn. So the judge has corrected that. That's where you saw the card. Now, people might think that that's bad news. Like, the judge does need to fix that. Upstairs, we know that that's not going to matter. It's not changing the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
He drew another Borrow's Charm off his draw step. It's never going to get to the point where that does anything.
Right.
I don't see a way out of this for Cat. I guess if she has a Mausoleum Wanderer in hand,
yeah,
then she can flash it into play.
That would be the one thing.
And because the Eidolon's gone, she wouldn't take 2. There's an out. The Rattle Chains is still around. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Without that, it looks like there's no play that gets her out of here.
Yeah, I don't think there is. Yeah, does it matter which of these blocks which? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, the Swift Spear becoming a 3/4 that doesn't factor into anything here because Robert just can't cast his spells in combat. The one thing that makes it a little bit weird, you want to think about Lightning Helix on Cat's side. Now, we know that's not the card available in hand.
Yeah, this is actually... Yeah, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. Robert can actually clean up the board with a removal spell here. Yeah, Borrow's Charm, Bolt. Says, okay. Really, I just wanted the Eidolon to die. Could have swung just the Eidolon. Would have been the same. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He just bins the creatures, but that's okay.
Right. Swift Spear was a 2/3 on account of Rift Bolt, but
now
irrelevant.
It's a check now. Does she have the Mausoleum Wanderer? Here's Borrow's Charm. She's at 3. Lightning Bolt at 1. Can she counter it? Is there the Wanderer? No, there is not. Robert Mendoza takes game 1.
Yeah.
And a close one there indeed. You said you're right. It's a tough matchup. That Eidolon did a lot of work for Cat.
Yeah, it generated a lot of... Robert took a lot of damage off of that, but it was also good for a few points, and that's all I needed to do.
And we will look at the sideboard. So Robert Mendoza winning game 1. Let's look over at Bant Spirits. You mentioned she has some good things going on here. So Ceremonious Rejection, Kataki, Rest in Peace, Thalia, Worship, Engineered Explosives, Gideon, Kira, Vendilion Click, and Eidolon of Rhetoric.
So the big hit, the 2 worships. It's going to be tough for Burn to deal with that. They can kill all your creatures, but, it's kind of a Hail Mary anyway, and when it works, it really works.
Yeah.
Hexproof creature online with it, then it's easy mode. The Thalia Guardian of Thraben generally match up fairly well in this matchup. It's a first strike creature, which matters in a pretty big way, and it also just enters combat with most of the creatures on Robert's side pretty well in the first place. There's not a ton else that really plays here. You can reach for Kira because it's a removal spell matchup. That makes some sense to me.
Makes some sense, but it is a 2/3 for 3, which is, if you're racing, it's not passing the test.
Well, honestly, if it was a 2/3, that'd be pretty good because it blocks
it's a 2/2,
but it's only a 2/2.
2/2.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe on the play you might be able to do it. I think on the draw I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough.
Now, Robert didn't actually target any of her creatures that game.
Correct. Yeah, the Boros Charm and the Eidolon being the heavy lifters there.
Yeah, now on Robert's side, he has Destructive Revelries, Path to Exile, Ensnaring Bridge, Exquisite Firecraft, Searing Blood, Rest in Peace, Smash to Smithereens. Ensnaring Bridge, can Cat beat that?
She can Spell Quell it.
Once it's down, though.
As far as actually destroying it, no, I don't think you're going to see that happen. Nothing. There's just no Pride Mages in the main deck here. There's those sideboard explosives. I very much doubt that you'll see those in this matchup. They're pretty clunky.
So if he can stick one, then it's...
I think that the only home run in the sideboard here are the 2 Searing Bloods.
Yeah. I agree. I like the Searing Bloods here. If you're worried about Worship, if you know Worship's in Banned Spirits, you might do board in the Revelries.
Right.
I bet he'll go for Ensnaring Bridge, whether it's right or wrong here. If it's on the table, it's right. She can't get around it.
A lot of her creatures only have 2 power.
Well, yeah, but
if he's not out of resources, they can still freely attack through a lot of situations. I think that's mostly for Tarmogoyfs and Gristlebrand's.
Okay.
I mean, it could come in. I think it's a mistake. But Spell Queller can definitely tag it. But yeah, the Searing Blood is the one major thing I'm looking at.
I like that a lot.
If Exquisite Firecraft could fade Spell Queller, I'd be pretty interested into it.
It's uncounterable, right?
Right.
I know. It's one of those rules things.
Still does 4 damage and gets around Wanderer, which is not for nothing in a racing situation.
Yeah. So, the Searing Bloods I like. He has the full 4 Searing Blaze in the main, and just against, especially against Spirits, a deck where its creatures are undersized.
Noble Hierarch, Rattle Chains. Not so much Mausoleum Wanderer and Selfless Spirit, but
I mean, it's still fine. It's not awesome.
It tags them, but 2 mana, 0 damage. Not ideal. Birds of Paradise.
This isn't the type of Path to Exile matchup either, I wouldn't think.
I'm not into it. All your 3 mana, 3 damage spells just take care of everything in the first place. It is a matchup where the burn deck largely does kind of want to play the control, certainly on the draw. So there's an argument for path along those lines, but it's a fair amount worse than anything else that can target a creature and deal damage.
Well, Cat will be on the play this game. Needs a bit of that extra speed. This matchup does feel like it's a race that she might be on the wrong side of.
Right.
Not by too much.
Right, yeah, being on the play definitely matters here, though. If she gets through game 2, that means she'll have to win one on the draw as well. And with the heavy lifter in the sideboard being Worship, that card gets a fair amount worse on the draw. But we'll do this one thing at a time.
Cat will take a mulligan on 7. It's like Robert. Not on his side. He's happy.
I think that burn of the decks that you can expect to face in Modern, that one makes me the most tense sitting at the table.
Playing with or against?
Well, I would never play with it. I play test with it sometimes, but both.
I play burn sometimes. We've played when I played burn. I find it very relaxing because I'm dead to what I'm dead to, and sometimes people do powerful things that you lose to, and I never feel like, I let that one go. You know, when your opponent turn 2 Gristlebrand's, you're just like, yeah. You look at some lava spikes in your hand and you're like, you guys weren't good enough today. We'll try again next round.
So it sounds like a different in perspective about whether agency brings comfort or is disarming.
So you're stressed out because of the variance, and for me, it's like I stress out about misplaying.
Yeah.
And about feeling like I'm going to punt and embarrass myself when I play Burn. I'm like, I'm pretty confident I'm not going to embarrass myself.
I
with
usually
this deck.
feel pretty good if I play a deck, and at the end of a match, I'm like, I could have won that if I was a smart person.
Oh, I don't feel that. When I lose with Burn, I don't feel that way. When they collected Brutality, you never think could have gotten that one.
Right.
It's like, wow, they played this card for 2, and then all my cards were gone, and they were at 18. Or whatever, 22, I don't know. They had way too many life points left.
All right, we're underway. Cat's at 6 cards. Shocked off a breeding pool, had Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, good turn 1, shocking against Burn. You hate when it happens. Noble Hierarch's going to make Mausoleum Wanderer on the second turn here for her.
And Monastery Swiftspear off Inspiring Vantage for Robert.
Yeah.
That got in for 1.
Robert will read Mausoleum Wanderer. We'll do the same here. A upgraded Judge's Familiar, you could say.
I would, though it is 1 fewer Pro Tours.
Yeah,
It is
by
2 fewer Pro Tours. This very much looks like Cat has a Rattle Chains, 3 mana available with Noble Hierarch, just casting the Wanderer and passing.
See if there's a Searing Blood or Searing Blaze that she could counter with Rattle Chains. Remember, it gives a Spirit Hexproof until end of turn. Looks like there's a Searing Blaze in Robert's hand. Maybe he'll fire it off.
Yeah. You can aim the blood at the Hierarch, as the Wanderer, of course, can just sacrifice itself.
Yeah, that might just be better. He does have Eidolon, and I think he's going to go for that instead. Yeah, Grim Lavamancer, actually, and Suspending Riftbolt. A lot of options. I kind of like, in the way this game's turning out, for Robert to not just jam Eidolon right away, maybe make a board first.
Right. Yeah, one of the other things that the way that this turn played out looked is Cat might be curving into a 4-mana spell. Now, I was thinking it was Collected Company. It is, in fact, Worship.
Now, hold on. Robert has a Grim Lavamancer. He might not just be completely dead to Worship.
Yeah, the Lavamancer can currently mow everything down.
I don't know if I've ever seen a game where Burn beat Worship by simply removing all the creatures. I'd be in to see that. That's crazy.
I mean, that's one of the things about the Spirit's deck, is it's comprised of all these little creatures that are all very fragile.
Is there any point in waiting, or just run that out?
Depends if the other card in hand is a Collected Company. The dream scenario is you set up that double Dragskull Captain like we saw in Game 1, and then you back
and
that
then you
up
play
with
Worship. Okay, I don't think Robert can answer that.
Right.
Unless he's boarded in the Revelries.
Right.
All right. Rift Bolt upstairs.
No fear.
No time to kill these creatures.
Hand looks to be full of spells.
I do like spells. Here's a Goblin Guide. And Grim Lavamancer are going to start going to work on the Wanderer. She's going to cast Dragskull Captain to give it hexproof.
That fades that.
All right.
This also makes the Wanderer a 3/3 as it triggers itself and the Captain, so now it's just a really good blocker.
Does Robert missed this, didn't he? Because he's swinging with a 2/3 and a 2/2 into that Mausoleum Wanderer.
These are not good attacks.
Nope, this is a 3/3 blocker. You're not going to like what's going to happen here.
It pushes through for some damage. That much is true.
Yeah, he'll get a consolation prize of getting 2 damage with that Goblin Guide, but he just loses the Swift Spear. You know, that's one of the advantages when you play something like Bant Spirits. People will make plays like that into you. I'm going to say on my own side, I didn't realize it was a 3/3 right away. I probably would have also attacked into it.
Yeah. That is one of the benefits of playing Fringe decks for sure.
And now with this board set up, I like deploying Worship.
Well, if she can find exactly Image or Captain next turn,
I would do that first.
yes, because you want to make the Lavamancer can already just deal with the Captain, or some other burn spell can do that. And dying from 10, that shouldn't happen. Not against 2 lands. Without that, though, you just deploy the Worship and hope to figure everything else out later.
Tap land on as her 5th mana source here.
Yeah, that's the Sanctum we saw off the Goblin Guide.
And there's Worship. All right. Robert's got to remove all her creatures now.
Yep.
That is not easy. Here's a swing, and a big one at that. It's for 7 in the air. Robert down to 9.
Yeah, the blocks with these creatures, not particularly inviting, so I like the attack. You also need to close the game, because there's that active Lavamancer. Over enough time, Robert can kill all your creatures.
Still 5 cards in hand for Mendoza. Searing Blood.
Nope.
Nope, countered by Mausoleum Wanderer. Just says go.
And now, there's another window for Cat to find redundant Drogskull Captain. That would just lock the game right up.
Outside of that, she's just winning the race. She's got a 2-turn clock. Swing for 3, Robert down to 6. Says go. Actually, that was for 4, Robert to 5. It exalts.
Yeah.
So now next turn, just both the flyers does it. Can try again at Drogskull Captain, will Robert. This time, Grim Lavamancer succeeds.
All right. That is bad news for Cat.
Goblin Guide attacks. Top card for Cat is Selfless Spirit.
That would have been nice a second ago.
Yeah. Cat down to 8. And we're going to see Lightning Bolt at the Rattle Chains. And does she have a... She has flashes in Mausoleum Wanderer and counters it.
All right. She's still set up to have Lethal in 2.
How about Lethal in right now? Here's Mausoleum Wanderer and that Selfless Spirit on top. Oh, no, it's not totally lethal. It's only 4 because the Exalted's gone. Okay.
Right.
Almost. Here's Selfless Spirit, a swing for 4. Robert to 1. Take a lot of work to clear these creatures away.
The Wanderer is still a pretty good counterspell here. Yeah, and
Can't
against
do
2 lands, she has enough protection.
So 1 game apiece, Catlight evens it up. Does show her sideboard with Worship, and maybe we'll see Robert reach for some of those Revelries now.
Right. And depending on the way that the game played out, the Worship actually not entering
that
a
didn't
factor
matter.
there. She would have, it would have been better just to have a creature that attacked or blocked.
Yeah, I agree. Robert got stuck on 2 lands, so the Worship didn't matter. I still bet the Burn player has to respect it some.
Well, one best way to respect it is just to mow through the creatures, right?
Yeah.
We have the Searing Bloods, we have the Searing Blazes. And it is kind of tough for the Spirit deck to assemble that all hexproof creature lock.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it involves you casting a 3-drop and another 3-drop and then a 4-drop Worship. So it's 10 mana worth of cards. Yeah, Burn can just beat you before that happens.
Yeah, definitely on the play.
So maybe on the Burn side, you don't even board in Revel where you just try to beat Worship the other way.
Yeah, it's the thing
I
we
can see
always
that.
talk about. The Burn deck, the biggest weakness, that the worst thing you can do sideboarding is bring in too many cards. And Revelry and against a creature deck feels like one of those things. Now, maybe if the deck had some enchantment creatures in it, like that would change things a little bit. If it was a deck that played some kind of problematic equipment, but it's just 1 card.
Yeah, that's something. There are just no other targets.
And Burn doesn't get, as we've been talking about, Burn doesn't get to control the cards it draws.
No,
it draws them, and then those cards are in its hand.
Yeah, you have a 60-card deck. Most games you'll draw about 12 of them, and you hope that those 12 are good enough. Half of the ones are going to be in your opener. A little more than half.
Yeah.
So on 3, Robert back on the play. Cat was able to get that one. We talked about how tempo is going to matter in this matchup. Cat on a mull to 6 that last time, too. This time Robert will take them all again.
Burn a deck that really hates mulliganing.
Yeah.
You have some cards that can make up that damage. Searing Blaze, Searing Blood. You count the removal spell and the Lava Spike. Those are both kind of a card.
It's like a 2-for-1. Yeah, but the card Lava, when you start destroying Lava Spikes, those are cards that really feel bad on mulligans.
Right. Your Boros Charms, in some contexts, your Eidolons that can make up this disadvantage, but mulliganing is not great. You in general have this problem where your 4th land very frequently already feels like a mulligan if the game goes that long. I believe Cat has kept on 7.
Does appear that way, yeah. Robert on a mulligan, but Cat is not.
Well, she does not have to make the decision until Robert's looking at a 6.
Yeah, keeping. Remember, this one, round number 14. Before we cut to top 8, there's another round to go. The loser of this match will be out. The winner likely still having work to do.
Yeah, very likely looking for 12 and 3.
Yeah. Inspiring Vantage, Monastery Swift Spear for Mendoza. We'll swing it in. Cat's down to 19.
So far, checking the boxes for a powerful start. If you can supplement this with a Searing Blood or a Searing Blaze, it's going to be really scary.
Even an Eidolon of the Great Rebel wouldn't be bad here. Mausoleum Wanderer. Second Vantage off the top for Mendoza. There's the Eidolon. All right, swings Swift Spear for 1. Cat to 18.
Yeah, that's one of the cards that makes up the ground for sure.
I think now Robert needs the red card advantage. He has one more land in his hand. He needs to stop drawing lands.
Yeah. I believe Cat has picked up Thalia. The white source is this hollowed fountain, so it costs a lot of life.
Yeah, 4 total, 2 for the land, 2 for the Eidolon. But it does stop most of the future damage. I suppose Robert can still just attack the Monastery Swift Spear in. Cat really can't call that.
Right, on this turn, that is a scary block to try to make.
Even if you don't have the instant, you still swing it?
Depends on my mood.
For Mendoza, another Eidolon.
Ooh.
Well, now I'm blocking.
Yeah. You're not going to get gut-shotted.
Yeah, and he just passes. I guess. This is an interesting board. 2 Eidolon games are very interesting. Because you don't get to... I guess now being on a mulligan just doesn't matter, right? It's not like you can cast all those cards anyway.
Right. Yeah, 4 per spell. He's starting 3 life ahead on the race. And the Swift Spear still looks like a pretty good attacker.
Yeah, I like this a lot from Robert. Cat has to think. She's at 14. She likely only gets 2 spells this game, right? If she can't remove the Eidolons, that would put her to 6, and then you don't want to go any further, not against a burn deck.
Right.
So you have to start looking at your hand. What are the 2 spells going to be? I mean, if you have Worship, okay, that's obviously one of them. Looks like Mausoleum Wanderer is one of them. Taking 4, she goes to 10. It's a low-impact spell, but it does pump. Robert takes 2 to 15. And Cat passes back.
If there is just an untapped land and a Worship next turn, it's pretty tough to work through that under 2 Eidolons.
And Robert, and he's going to shock here. I think he wants to cast a 2-mana spell and make sure it doesn't get wandered. Down to 13, he's casting Path to Exile with Thalia mana through 2 Wanderers. So he'll go to 9 off his Eidolon triggers. However, this actually locks Cat out of the game, doesn't it? If she takes the full attack, she has to chump block. At 6 damage, she goes to 4 with 2 Eidolons.
Yeah. Looks like she does have a Path to Exile in hand.
Okay.
I assume you have to go for one of the Eidolons.
Yeah.
Can't afford to take 4 off of 2 spells. There's definitely some creatures connecting here.
Yeah, and now it really asks, does she have the Worship? Is what it's feeling like we're getting to that point.
Yeah.
Robert will swing. It's a swing for 6. This will put Cat down to 4 if she takes it all. I don't think she can do that. So if she paths something, she's actually locked out of spells there too. She goes to 6, takes at least 2.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, to path and make a chump block here.
And even then, you have no more spells. So, like, is path even worth casting? It's all the same.
Robert does have a Lightning Helix in hand. I mean, if you path an Eidolon, block something else, 2 comes across in damage, you end up at 4. So without a burn spell, you do get a spell.
Oh, right, because there's only one Eidolon left. It's
Right.
only taking 2 per spell. It's a good point.
Doesn't look pretty any way you slice it.
No, 2 Eidolons is rough.
It's really difficult to play a deck that has similarly sized creatures as Burn and race them effectively.
Yeah, and we're seeing that this game too.
Yeah, you have to be able to make profitable blocks in this matchup, or just be fighting on a different axis.
Wanderer blocks Eidolon. Robert, I think, just says, okay, take 4. You're at 6. He has Lightning Helix in hand. It's tough. He's not going to cast it right now. Doesn't want to be countered by Wanderer, but when Robert untaps, he'll just throw that one upstairs. Show Worship.
Looks like the hand's full of Spell Quellers. Things might have been different if she had collected companies.
Actually, Worship doesn't even win here.
Yeah, you just tag the Mondra with the Helix.
And then swing 6.
But a collected company potentially could play in a big way, but I don't believe she has it.
Yeah, if company wouldn't take damage, she could company into a stack of blockers that maybe turn sideways to win on the race back. Instead, she'll say go. Not a great spot for Cat Light. Boros Charm drawn by Robert. And here, he will swing the team. Probably the safest thing Robert can do is just stop casting spells altogether if he wants to try to play around company.
Not difficult to cross the finish line without doing that. Basically, you need to fade collected company right now.
Right.
And he seems to have done that. Should be good to lock up the match.
Yeah, we'll just confirm that she doesn't have it.
She has some Spell Quellers. She can flash right into block, but that's good for 4 damage. And then pretty easy for Robert just cast, this Boros Charm he just drew, the Lightning Helix he already had. That would close it out.
Looks like both players here are going to win on a mulls to 6. Being on the play, just overpowering. The first Eidolon felt beatable. It was really the second one that did it in.
Yeah. The second one's always tough. Looks like just a chump block, but easy to close things from there. Cat goes to 3. Boros Charm seals the deal.
And Robert Mendoza will take the win with Burn. He improves to 11-3, and he